As a proactive relationship transformation coach with a somatic trauma informed background, my goal is to help people actually connect and grow. And you can almost always find a reason to leave a relationship. That part is easy. Human beings are incredibly consistent at crossing each other's secure, normal boundaries. And when that happens, it's easy to move into blame or disconnection, avoidance. And to be clear, those are phenomenal coping mechanisms. I mean, they work. Blaming someone else or pulling away will often give you an immediate relief, which is why they're so common. But while they do work in a short term, they don't actually heal anything. So I'm not interested in helping people avoid or project. I'm interested in helping people learn how to connect. And I look at relationships through kind of a systems lens, which means I'm paying attention to the mechanisms and the patterns, not just moments, not just the story. From that perspective, blame and shame are two of the fastest ways to shut down connection. The moment they enter the conversation, most nervous systems move into defense and real understanding becomes almost impossible. So when we turn to coping mechanisms instead of morality, instead of processing, instead of capacity, we shut down our ability to understand what's actually happening underneath. Now, most subconscious protective mechanisms are not fully understood by the individual themselves, which is why it's so common for relationships to end before the powerful mirror for healing they provide us is ever truly used. And this is what makes relationships so frustrating with so much potential. It often feels justified, especially when you've been the one to put in years of effort and you still can't understand why your partner can't see your perspective or feel what you feel. But for people that are not choosing, they're not choosing to ignore you. They simply don't have the capacity in that moment to access your experience. In my work, everything comes down to energy and capacity. Before we ever talk about strategy or morality, we're living in a world that is constantly producing stress and trauma. And over time, that creates very predictable patterns. These patterns show up as subconscious defense mechanisms that were originally designed to protect us. The problem is many of those same mechanisms are now blocking us from connecting and growth we would actually choose if we had access to it. And to be clear, many people do not have the energy capacity because of nervous system dysregulation to include more than their own perspective. Their system is using too many resources just to stay protected. When you can't feel safe enough to decenter and momentarily step outside your own perspective, you lose access to one of the most natural human experiences, empathy. And when a partner interprets those limitations as a moral issue, as something being wrong or bad about the other person, it triggers shame. And once shame enters the system, things become even more complex. One of the most common responses to shame is, guess what? Hiding. We stop being honest, we stop being open, and we essentially close the hood and stop looking at what's actually going on underneath. This is not a morality issue. This is a basic human nature. Like any survival scenario, we retreat, hunker down, or attack. That's human nature. Survival masculinity is a specific form of limited energy. It's a place of scarcity. A man immersed in shame or blame will often operate in a very narrow range of thought. Me, my, mine. As capacity builds and energy expands, that begins to shift towards we, us, ours. The good news is that capacity can be built. These patterns are not fixed, but we do have to step out of blame and shame to work with them. That requires awareness, acknowledgement, and acceptance. We have to be willing to actually look at the pattern, talk about it, and understand it with a grounded honesty that says, yep, that's what's happening. Acceptance. There's also an important irony when it comes to boundaries. Healthy boundaries often require limiting someone's access to you if those boundaries continue to be crossed. And if there is truly no change over time, separation can become the final boundary. But before getting to that point, couples navigating childhood wounds, generational patterns, or past relationship trauma, they need to understand those mechanisms that we're talking about, that they are engaging in together, loops that keep repeating. Without that understanding, the same patterns will simply repeat in different forms. More than anything, this is an invitation to curiosity. One of the primary reasons people improve in therapy or coaching is because they feel understood. That alone creates movement. But there's another level that's beyond that, and that's learning to understand yourself. Understanding how you use your focus, your language, and your physiology, how it's representing, how to shape your experience of reality. Understanding how your past has conditioned you in ways that actually can be unwound and reconditioned in a different direction. When people say do the work, this is what they're talking about. Your neural system can be reconditioned. Without it, you remain at the mercy of a subconscious or subconscious patterns that were designed to protect you, but are now blocking the life of connection and growth that you actually truly want. And if you can make curiosity your default instead of judgment, it becomes a powerful tool. Anything that was conditioned to protect you but is now limiting your ability to connect can be reconditioned. And that's where real change happens. Get curious.